Dreams are my speciality.
This week in action.
Through dreams, I influence mankind.
Could be something.
Talk to the developers.
Are you playing with my emotions?
Let's get sad and then
Too good to be true.
That's not what they did here. When's the money going?
what other horror stories can come of this?
We love Tencent.
What is light without dark?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Action Podcast 27. My name is Aaron, owner and operator of the YouTube channel Action RPG, and I am so excited, as always, for this podcast. With me is two of my friends, two of my leaders, my team, Daft and Guilty. Say hello, gentlemen.
How's it going, guys?
Heyo!
Okay, and I'm going to start with a question. I know we're just getting started. I know there's only a couple people here, and that's fine. Exathius, I have a question for you. Do you like Daft's background more with the orange or the blue? That's the first question of the podcast, all right? He's been messing with his backgrounds. He's been trying to get it perfect. He's been working on the lighting. What do you think? He's looking for feedback. What do you think? Or if you need time to think about it, that's fine. That's fine as well. Yeah, exactly. He's probably like, I don't even remember what it looked like before, which is fine. Can you switch it to orange? No, don't switch it to orange. Don't do it. Oh, look, I already won my first heist. Okay, we're going to start off. We're going to start off this podcast as we started. The blue is really good. Good. As we started last week's podcast, and that is with the poll that I put up on YouTube. Now, I lagged a little bit. My fault. A couple of days on getting this poll up. Normally, it's up for 7 days. This time, I was up for 4 days. My fault. See that? I'm not pushing blame to you guys. See?
That's good.
I'm maturing. Kind of. The poll was very simple, okay? We had over 700 votes. What universe do you want to see a next-gen ARPG made, okay? And normally when I say next-gen, I just mean like using a current or maybe like an Unreal Engine 5 gen in the game. And the options were The Matrix, which would be a futuristic game, Tolkien, which would be fantasy, Star Trek, which would be future, Mad Max, which would be post-apocalyptic, and the last one was Godfather, which would be Mafia. Dude, look, I had that off the top of my head.
Good.
Engwar says Mad Max. Guilty, what did you choose? Why? And you can't talk about what you wrote in. Go.
So I wrote in Shadowrun because it needs to have an ARPG made. But I think I chose Mad Max, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I chose Mad Max.
You know, it is very rare that I say Hollywood makes a good kind of, remake of an old classic. I really enjoyed the new Mad Max movie. I actually thought they did a pretty good job.
Get this, the production team for that movie were, when I was a freshman, they were the seniors at my school.
Really?
Yep, and their first project won them an Oscar.
Hey.
When I first saw the trailer, I was like, this is going to be horrible. And then I was like, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. Daft, what did you pick?
I picked Star Trek just because I grew up with it. There isn't anything like that. It'd be cool to have a sci-fi kind of ARPG. That was just as simple as that, because I knew we already have Tolkien type stuff. We already have all these other, they're similar to the lore, but it's not the lore itself. So I just kind of went the other way.
It is interesting because when we were talking last week about putting this poll up, we all knew that Tolkien was probably going to win, right? Just because of its popularity. Everybody knows Lord of the Rings, whether you love the books, whether you love the actual writings of Tolkien, whether you love the movies. Everybody kind of has a natural love for that universe. But I did also find it interesting that we have a lot of fantasy already, right? So, I mean, everything.
Tons.
Everything is fantasy. So, yeah, I do find it interesting that he won by that large of a margin. And if you were curious, he came in at almost 50% of that poll.
Do you ever think that a lot of people don't read as much as they used to, and that might be the only books that they read before they moved on to TV.
Or they just really love Tolkien, maybe? I'm trying to pull
well, the first book I read all the way through,
Yep.
I was very young. It was The Hobbit.
Right.
That was the first book I completed, cover to cover. I was pretty young. I don't remember how old I was, but it was very young.
And I'm going to guess you hated the movies, right? Because
they turned what should have been a one movie into three for the sake of give me money.
They really like money.
That.
They really like money.
The cinematographer, how many times can you take a shot of someone walking in a green field?
Apparently a lot. Yes,
Apparently a lot,
Jinx,
yeah.
exactly. No, exactly. You know what I didn't like about The Hobbit? See, now we're off on a weird tangent.
Yeah.
I've never liked things that are unrealistic in an unrealistic story. Okay? Let me explain this. I was trying to how am I gonna say this without getting crazy? Like, obviously this world isn't real, and obviously things they do aren't real. But like when they're like falling off the cliff,
Smaug is real.
they're like falling off the cliff 2 miles down, hitting every bridge and corner of the mountain, and then they hit the ground and they all get up and walk away. I hate
So
that kind of stuff.
like
the Brockheimer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 movie where they were falling long enough to have a complete conversation.
Yes,
That didn't make you happy.
that kind of stuff.
So
Hi,
you just- you
Carouse.
didn't-
Thank you for the sub. You get to pick a
did.
hat.
What's good? 10 months and
Yes.
counting.
You get to pick a hat
So,
next stream. Thank you.
One thing I did like about the Hobbit films was the singing. Those songs are in the book word for word.
Let me give you a better example. Have you seen the second Pirates of the Caribbean?
I don't remember any of them.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Anyways,
I
at
saw
the
them, I don't
beginning,
remember them.
at the beginning of the second of the Pirates of the Caribbean, he's got a pole attached to him because they were cooking him. So he was like, they were rotating him over the fire because they're gonna eat him, and he ends
Yeah,
up
on a spit, yeah.
and he ended up bouncing off. Well, there's one point, there's like a 100-yard canyon, and he uses that bamboo wood that's on his back to pole vault over the canyon. Okay, and that's my idea of like, when they throw in so much crazy stuff inside of an unrealistic story. There was never time in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy that you felt like, oh, this is the CGI fight. Oh, this is the
Right.
super, the most unrealistic thing is like Legolas killing like 12 people in a second, right? But in like the Hobbit movies, it's like all of them are in their own wood barrel, upright,
Yeah.
going down a raging river while fighting orcs. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
So-
Well, see, I was gonna say real quick, in reference to this whole like, for me, I watched a lot of kung fu movies like in my 20s, like tons and tons, and a majority of the time, there was moments of just absolute, okay, that's cinema. I guess it just depends on how you put it in and how it's what in kung fu it worked for it. For me, it was always just cooler looking and stuff like that. But in a fantasy movie,
So
It's- Guilty.
I had brought
Guilty. I think you would agree with this.
what?
The showrunners, the producers, the directors, like they feel like they have to take it to like the next level, right? Like Lord of the Rings did
Well,
this. For The
right.
Hobbit, we're gonna go above that. But instead of that adding to the movie, in my opinion, it takes away from it.
You're forgetting that so my views on the Lord of the Rings movies is the same as my views on The Hobbit. I'm all for gorgeous cinematography. Like there's a film called Brokeback Mountain, and the mountain scenes that they filmed in there, I believe, won awards. I'm pretty sure the cinematographer may have won an award for that film, and it's because they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't gratuitous. They splashed it on there and showed it in the background, and the shots were framed right. And these
Right.
films, they shot the grass. Look at the grass of New Zealand. It's green.
It's pretty grass, though.
It's pretty green grass. And then CGI.
What did Darth say?
Let's see.
Dwarf is a crazy bonus to Constitution. They are built like a tank. They fell a mile down a cliff on a wooden plank. Anyways.
Although it is gorgeous, and the fact that they planted the Shire, like that's real, like Hobbit burrows they built. Real grass growing on them.
Yeah.
So that's great production value, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can
So
go
that,
visit it.
that stuff I loved. The set building that they did for those movies is spot on. It's just when, like, for instance, when they showed a CGI like portion of a town, it doesn't need to be some grand like landscape portrait, so I can see all of the computer generated imagery.
Right.
You know, one thing I want to touch on the poll that I was actually surprised about is when I was creating the poll, I was thinking about the last podcast. I was thinking about the feedback, and I was like, okay, I like The Matrix. We knew we want to put Tolkien on. We talked about Star Wars, Star Trek. I want to go Star Trek. I was like, Mad Max would be cool because I was trying to think of different eras. You know, it wasn't,
Shadowrun.
you know, it wasn't going to be like Witcher and Tolkien. You know, I was trying to think like fantasy, robots, apocalyptic, future. And then when I thought of The
America.
Godfather, I was like, I feel like The Godfather is going to do so well on this poll. I was like, I loved the Mafia games, you know, an isometric kind of gangster where you're running through the city and you're tearing up people. I was like, that could be
It
fun.
could be a thing.
I think it came
Could
in
be a thing.
last. Actually, wait, did it come in last? No. Yeah, it came in last. It came in last.
It came in dead last because no one wants to play Godfather ARPG.
Matrix had 17%, Tolkien had 49, Star Trek had 9, Mad Max had 17, Godfather had 8. So Star Trek only beat it by 1%. Okay? But yeah. I guess
Shadowrun should have been on that list.
nobody would have voted for that.
Plenty of people
hey.
would have. It was actually a community suggestion.
I know I didn't
It
want to put
was.
it on because of you. I heard that game was good too.
Huh?
Yakuza.
Oh yeah, all of them.
There's like 18. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Yakuza 0, Yakuza 00, whatever. Kiwami 0, some yeah.
Okay. So, guys, what do you think? We need a poll for next week. What do we want to talk to the community about?
Well,
Well, this
Let's do
this
it.
week was actually pretty good. It was responsive.
yeah.
We'll think
You
on
know what
that.
else could have
We'll
this
think
week's
about it.
poll? We could have Hellraiser could have been on there. I mean,
Nobody
the
wants to play
Cenobites
Hellraiser.
alone,
Nobody
the
even
different type of
knows what it
Cenobites
is.
Are different. Oh, everybody except for you knows. The different Cenobite classes. Just imagine them. The chain attacks, the Chatterer. Come on now. Come on.
Exathia said, how did the machines go on the list? So if you go to my YouTube, you'll actually see it. It says like Matrix, and then in parentheses, it says machines. Mad Max, post-apocalyptic. So I try to like put the universe and then kind of show the category on it. Okay, think about the poll for a little bit. We are now going to switch gears. So
Right.
if you watch the intro for this podcast, you notice somebody talking at the beginning, okay? Guilty is the one that creates the intros. And for this week, a game that I made a video on that did really, really good was Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms. Alaloth,
Thanks. Yes.
Champions of the 4K. That's a really long name.
It's a long name.
So
It's pretty long. Okay. And this is a
Chimera-
game that El Diablo has been talking to me about for a long time in Discord. It's a game that's grown a lot in popularity. I feel like, I don't want to say it's like a Vampire Survivors, but it was a game that literally not a single person heard of. And then you go to their Discord, and I think they have like 10,000 people now. So it's a game that really came out of nowhere. Guilty, did you check it out?
I haven't played it yet. But I've been researching it. I know they've reached out to the channel. And I know that you've already done some work with them.
Yep.
I did research on the studio, Chimera. They're based out of Italy. They've won
Okay.
awards. I believe they got a game of the year in 2018.
For
or
what?
something. I'd have to look into it again. I was just quickly trying to brush up on it, but they won awards in 2018. It's not their only game. They're they're licensed for across all the platforms. It's a legit studio. They take it seriously, and it's in Italy, and they use Unity.
Oh gosh.
That's good.
Well, Italy's good because I'm Italian, right? So then I have to support them.
That's
Isn't
why
that
that's
some
why
kind of rule or something?
I'm sure it's in the bylaws. We have to look into those bylaws.
When was the last time you guys played a CRPG?
Recently, actually.
Few weeks. Yeah.
Actually, I think the last time we played together with Waffles.
Yeah.
We were playing Baldur's Gate 1. No, the enhanced edition, but same game.
Yeah. Basically the same, a little more modern.
Yeah. It's the difference between a lot of games we played today are those games are not forgiving. People complain, oh, it's too hard. No, if you were to have a dagger and you go and try and poke like a group of orcs, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Why do they have to die,
Because it's dumb to go and try and poke a bunch of orcs with a dagger.
It's supposed to be based off of strategy, and
it's
a lot of people
in
just
reality.
run into it like it's an ARPG and die.
Yeah.
So this game, it's not turn-based, and you can't pause it, but I probably died on this one level, I don't know, like 40 times. And I started to get so frustrated, right? And that's because I'm just so used to running in. And obviously that's not what it was. It was like, it's like, okay, they all come in. Don't worry about the guys in the front because it's the archers and the shamans and the people in the back that are actually tearing you up. So it'd be like, let them come in. They miss their first attack. Then I hold sprint, run to the back, because at this point I don't have any spells, take out the archers, and then fight the melee characters one at a time. And it's just, I get it. Like, Aaron, you're describing a CRPG. I know that. I just haven't played any in such a long time. I was thinking about, like, was Black Geyser the last time I played one? I was like, that can't be right.
Yes, that's.
I was like, maybe it was.
It was.
Yeah, that sounds about right,
one.
because it's a while ago. I have that game because of you.
Do you?
Yes,
Good.
I do.
Anyways, the point being is that I liked the way the game looked. They've asked me to do a video series if I'm willing on it, and I haven't decided yet.
What would that entail?
Well,
it would be our
series.
format for Road to Baldur's Gate, where we just recorded and then clipped together the most important parts.
well, it would be like you could do lots of stuff, like lore breakdown, bosses in the world. What does crafting look like? What is skills like? What do the different, factions actually mean? That kind of stuff.
Is it multiplayer or just
It
No.
is multiplayer.
Well,
It's multiplayer.
yeah, but I mean, it's mainly it's
mainly a single player game?
yes, and
It's
it is
split-screen co-op.
it's early
Gotcha.
access, but content finished. So that's what they really like to push, is that
Right.
the game is complete. Right now, they are adding stuff to it. They're finishing the details. They're balancing. They're figuring out bugs. But as far as like beginning story to ending story, Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms is complete. And I thought that was
Didn't
pretty cool.
Torchlight do the same type of thing, where they're mostly content?
Torchlight
or
is
no?
still adding end game maps. Their
So it's
campaign,
some alphas.
Thinking of
Yeah.
a different game then.
yeah. They're still adding stuff on there, but for the most part, hey, and by the way, Torchlight Infinite, it's legitimately every other ad I get on YouTube now. So they paid
Cool.
heavy for YouTube advertisements. Every other video I watch, the ad is Torchlight Infinite, and obviously they're going to show me that. Obviously, YouTube knows to show gaming ads to me, right? But I just and that just started like yesterday. So I felt that was
So-
pretty interesting.
Okay.
On our social media, they have been super on all of the social media. If you go and comment on them, they're probably going to comment back to you.
Right,
Whoever's
I've
in charge of
noticed
their he's whoever it is, whatever, if it's a group or an individual putting in 24 hours a day, who knows?
Mhm.
Very, very professional, awesome, very, very energetic, always good responses and timely.
Yeah.
Almost like it's an AI doing it.
Probably
It-
not though. They probably
No,
just
it's
have
not,
somebody
because-
community.
It's yeah.
It is an interesting thought because how many people would it take to watch the content that's put out on YouTube, comment on the comments on the YouTube section, and then, retweet and put out a couple tweets a day? It's like one person.
A lot more than a couple.
I think
A
it's
couple would
one.
just be one day. Like they've responded to me multiple times in one day.
I think
mean, if
I think
you
they
were-
have one good community, like full time.
Right.
Like yeah, he doesn't get to sleep. Sometimes they feed him or her. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
It almost makes you feel uneasy because it seems too good to be true. This is a game that I enjoy playing, that they say
Right.
all the right things, that they are active in listening to the community. It almost makes you feel defensive because
Right.
you're so not used to that.
Used to people being genuine, basically.
It's like normally a AAA studio charges you this much for the game, and then you can't even play the damn game without buying all this other crap, and they don't care about the community, and they don't listen to anybody, and then they post $100 million in their first 2 months, and then I get pissed off.
I
That's-
called that, by the way.
That's what I'm used to.
I called
Yes.
And I'm going to make a video that says they've passed 200 million because they didn't even have China for the first 100 million.
I people will give out money for anything.
They will. So, yeah.
It's sad
Just
they
too.
like it, whatever.
evolving game world, basically, right now. Just how it evolves.
I don't like it, but it's not going to change. So
But it does make you
Right.
like not actually feel pissed off at Blizzard. You feel pissed off at the gamers that are spending all this money on the MTX because they are doing it because people are buying it,
Right.
right? I mean,
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it makes it hard to vote with your wallet when people don't vote with their wallet.
I was watching YouTube earlier, and on my just general feed, there was one person that had Diablo, speaking of Diablo Immortal, up, and they had like 400 people in there watching it, the YouTube stream. And I was just like, this is still a thing. It says returning whale, blah, 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 was the cap. or the,
$100,000, and I can't find no one to play with, guys.
I
Hey,
do
yo.
wonder of that 100 million, how much of it was whales? Is it
It doesn't have to be.
98% of that 100 million are whales? So really it's
If
only
it's
2% of gamers?
40%, if it's just 40%, that means that many people are still playing it.
right.
They
I
passed,
don't know.
I think they passed 30 million downloads. Now, obviously the game's free, right? So,
Free. It's on a phone. People just download it and never play it sometimes. Or,
yep.
It's in high
Like,
school.
you know.
Instead of taking a math class.
But, it is what it is.
I don't want to talk about Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Raises my blood pressure.
Yeah.
Gets me all.
Did you? Speaking of games that pissed me off, did you guys get to play Wolcen on a controller yet?
I missed that.
Oh, spoiler alert, I've been playing it on a controller just to make jokes.
You liar! I don't
No,
believe you.
Not recently. Like since the beginning, I have a Steam controller. I don't need to wait for them to do stuff because Steam did it for them.
Right.
Oh, I see. You can just work around it.
Yeah, I just do what everyone else should have done when the thing went on sale for $5 through Steam.
Isn't
Kareem
it?
did
Is
the
it?
same chat.
It is hilarious that Wolcen drops controller support, and it's like, you can't reset the keys. Oh, and it
Oh,
only works on Xbox controllers. Oh, and it's so hard to use. Like,
That's just come on, guys.
but it is funny too that then they said that the future updates for the game will be the fine tuning of controller support. So it's like, there's only 100.
Oh,
There's 100 people playing the game left.
and maybe
Two of those
like
people
quarter
wanted
of
a-
them.
2 of those people
Yeah.
wanted a controller, and now the next updates are going to be making it better. Like, what a joke.
Grim Creed says the aiming sucks so bad, and Exathius is a little bit pissed because the generic controller might not work.
You have the one I have, right, X?
Okay, I'm gonna do this.
I don't know. I never tried it.
All right, guys.
Should try it.
Wolson dropped 1160, their controller update. Have their numbers gone up on Steam charts? What do you think? Have people returned to the game?
I think there
anybody
might have
care?
been a weekend splash.
Now think about this, because I returned.
Bump.
I played
Not a
it.
splash bump.
Right.
I
You're the
played it.
bump. You're the bump. There's 126 current people. You getting in and playing it's a bump.
What
That
day,
is a bump. That is a percentage.
what day did they drop this crap?
I think it was Friday last week or Thursday.
Last Friday?
I could be wrong.
All right. Well, their 24-hour peak, and obviously this is midweek, is 245.
Huh.
It's higher.
It went up 100.
It went up
100.
about 100 players.
So you got those players who were waiting and waiting, who had their controllers set up and charged. They were waiting for the day, and they got in. Will it hold though? Right? That's the thing. It's
Dude, you know what's so sad? The 24-hour peak for Last Epoch right now is 1,000 even. 1000.
And it's not released. And it has more players than Wolfenstein.
Let's check Grim Dawn. It normally sits around
It's probably way
6,000.
I don't know.
know.
It's usually up in the thousands. And
yeah.
that's
What's
because it's a good game.
This is what's hard about actually tracking Grim Dawn, is that it's like, is this Grim Dawn? Is this the Ashes? Is this Crucible?
platforms.
Is this Forgotten Gods? Like what?
Oh, it splits them up.
Multiple platforms.
When you look at all of them combined, Grim Dawn currently has 5,800.
Well, not
There you go.
counting Xbox.
That's still pretty good.
That's true.
For
Yeah.
how long it's been
Right.
released.
That game came out in 2013. Well, okay. I started playing
6 or 7 years old. Yeah.
I think 1.0 was 2016, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2016.
because it was an early access.
I had it in 2013, so I was thinking.
But
Yeah.
that being said, through all the stuff that happened and seeing that game change, it started off pretty decent. It wasn't as
Yeah.
good, obviously not as good as it is now. And Wolfson has the opportunity to do that. They could add on to their game
could.
like they did with Grim Dawn, but like what Crate did. They could make the needed changes like what Crate did with your components. Instead of having 3 parts, or
God.
one each.
That was such a
They
great
could do
one.
all of that. There's your playbook. Use that. It's
Right.
successful.
They're incapable of doing anything.
I mean, I
Who
saw
knows
the house
what's going
they
on in
worked
that
out of.
studio?
They are the worst studio in the history
you know.
of studios.
Allegedly.
I'd rather work with Blizzard or Tencent for that matter.
Completely honest. I turned down working for free for Blizzard. And I wouldn't work for 10 cent. Wait, I probably already have because they own everything. You're right.
Drath says, yeah, but for LE has no new content for a while, which is bad for keeping people playing. I think they should be selling to a more bright studio. I'm hoping that last one was for Wilson. But yeah, Last Epoch jumping 0.86 and going straight to 0.9 in the short term will hurt them as far as players numbers, but I think for the long term it is the right decision. Like they are just every day they get hammered. Oh, you dropped a new Last Epoch video. Is multiplayer out yet? I don't care. Like I get that all the time. So I think
What do you think, Eric? Quick question. When it comes to the question of the day, is it multiplayer or is the classes start? I know that multiplayer is more, but what do you get the most
multiplayer
aggravation side from? Like which side seems aggravated?
Well,
The ones
I
who
think
want
what's
to finish
so
the game off, or the ones who want the multiplayer?
well, this is what makes people agitated about the classes is that I'm never gonna lie to people as much as I want Last Epoch to be the next great thing. Is that it's truly true when they have not even started them. They openly say that the classes.
So I wanna
Rune
know
Master,
if they
Falconeer,
mean-
Warlock hasn't even been started, and that pisses
Like-
people off.
I want
Yeah.
clarification on that. I want to know if they're designed in the game design document or if that has not even started yet.
I don't know.
Right.
Because if that's not even done yet, just throw it out. Don't even work on it.
They have to do it. They would get
Hammer.
murdered.
I mean, they're gonna get murdered anyway.
No,
No
Drath
one's
is right.
ever
Like,
happy anymore. Do you not know what year it is?
if the multiplayer is not good, it will hurt them so bad, and that's true. If multiplayer drops and it's not fun, we already know it's not going to be balanced. If it's hard to find parties, if it's hard to friend, if it's you can't actually keep friends, if it's you're on the east server and I'm on the west, so I can't find you. Like, if multiplayer sucks, oh my gosh, it is going to be so hard to come back from that. It's going to be so hard.
So they did reach out, which we've mentioned before, to people who've done it before. So people can be like, oh, that seems so easy, but there's going to be something, be it insignificant to you at the time, it ends up being a big deal. Like what you just said, like time zones.
Yep.
Probably not on your head, like on your mind when you're developing a game. Turns out you need someone that knows a little bit more of the tech aspect.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, something is going to happen, right? I mean, I feel like the fun would be there's so many players that the servers can't handle it. Like, that is the, like, you know what? That's, I don't know if it's a good problem or not, but
it's a dream problem to have, but not to have at the same time. You want that because it feels nice, but you're not prepared. Yeah.
I think they're preparing for like that 100,000 mark, being ready for it, right? And I think that's the dream. Wolcen got 130, but then you look at something like Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn's never been over 60, but then you look at PoE, it's almost hit 300, right? So,
well, PoE also is Twitch fodder.
It is.
Oh yeah,
it's a very Twitch friendly game.
It's free. Whereas Grim Dawn costs about, well, depending on, it's about $25, not on sale, right?
Right.
Or I think you can get it $25, not on sale for PC.
Grim Dawn is normally $3.
Not, like I'm saying, not on sale, and that's not the whole game, because Malmoth and Crucible and Forgotten Gods end up making it like $30. It's $60 on Xbox, so it's not a cheap title. PoE is free, essentially.
Yeah,
essentially, but not.
Yeah, it's you want to buy some chaos orbs off someone for real cash.
It's gonna suck too. Is that last Epoch's multiplayer is gonna launch without trading? That's gonna suck.
I mean, at all, right?
Not at all. Nothing.
Not even group wise, right?
Not even group wise. Instant loot. Your loot will fall. No one can see it. Like,
oh, that's not bad. I like that. That's good.
Like, that's.
I mean, it's fine in that case. It's fine.
It also gives a group that much more of a chance to get something that someone else wants, so they can trade.
But you can't trade
yet.
I know.
Yeah, you could have a trade stash for your homies.
You guys are smart enough to know that not everybody is like, Last Epoch fanboys like me. They're going to be, I heard this game's pretty good. I heard it got multiplayer. They're going to buy it. They're going to log in and they're going to be like, F this, it doesn't even have trading. And then they're going to go to Steam and be like, F this, it doesn't even have trading. And they're going to make a comment.
It's going to get bombed if they don't do the basic things they need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, that's the stuff that I'm like very fearful of. Because Last Epoch is, I would hope I would hope they're not in an echo chamber where they're only talking to people like me and people during the streams and in the forums and in the Discord,
They probably are. This is how you fix that. You look at real world applications where the players have been able to show what they want. And you do that because that's what people actually want.
Yeah, I feel like launching multiplayer without, at bare minimum, like party trading is a problem.
Party trading. Yeah, it is a problem.
And you have to be partied together when the loot falls, right? I mean,
that's fine.
It's not
at least.
But I mean, again, I'm not a coder. I mean, is that super hard to put in?
No, you just have to plan for things. Like if you try to shoehorn stuff into something that's already made, it can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But if you leave pathways, like if you program in a way where this will come into play here in some way or shape or form, and leave an opening for it in some manner, it'll be easier. But if you have to shoehorn something in a place where it was never meant to be, that's where problems come up.
You know what? Tell me what you think of this. The next poll. What's the most important thing for Last Epoch? Endgame system, new endgame system, last 3 masteries, multiplayer, trading, optimization.
Part of multiplayer.
Optimization. Yeah, I mean,
Optimization.
That's pretty decent poll.
No, okay, so this is why I say no to optimization, because I played Path of Exile. And let's face it, if someone is running like a poison archer and they're just warping across the screen, dumping arrows all over the place, and it just turns green, you're getting less frame rates by far. And there's nothing they can do about that.
But then instead of using optimization, you could say balancing.
Well, what are balancing the combat? What are they balancing?
Balancing skills, balancing enemies, overall game balance.
Yeah, I think the bosses should be more difficult in some areas and less difficult in others.
What would you like to see? What's most important to you for the future of Last Epoch? Multiplayer? Last 3 mastery classes?
Now, this is
new
assuming
end
only
games.
One of these can happen.
Yeah. New endgame systems.
Okay.
New endgame systems, multiplayer, last 3 mastery classes. I feel like a big one has been performance. So I think that should be on there. And I could put performance / optimization. I think that makes sense because people talk about my 3090 is running 70 degrees too hot when I play Last Epoch. I'm only getting 15 frames during this type of stuff. So
I'm going to throw out, don't use a 3090 to play games. There's your first mistake.
Yeah, you'd use a 4090 Ti.
No, you do not do that. It's a dev card. It will run hot because your game is nothing to it.
Okay. Does that sound like a good poll?
Yeah, works.
What do you think percentage will say multiplayer? 50?
I mean,
Will it be like a Tolkien survey?
I was going to say, it feels like the Tolkien.
Probably. The only reason I say that is because they've already taken away and started balancing things for multiplayer. And had they left them alone, had my bear not been pulled back, restrained, muzzled,
softened.
Yeah, soft. He's like more of he's a pudding
Nice.
with.
He's like a wolf now, you know.
Like a big dog. Yeah, big dog with paint.
What would be the 5th? Multiplayer, endgame, classes, performance. I need one more. You could put 5. I could put like new skills or
new skills would be fine, but what about a completely new class?
Oh, you know what I could put as the 5th one? They still have 3 chapters to finish on the campaign.
Oh yeah, definitely do that.
Last 3 campaign
Don't do
chapters.
It like Path of Exile did.
Yeah.
Don't go halfway through your game's life cycle and then introduce 7 chapters.
Oh, by the way, you guys have run through the story like 30 billion times. Run through it plus 3 some more. You already hate it.
That's if you could only pick, if you can only pick one, what's most important to you? And I'll list those 5. Boom.
There you go.
Okay, we've got next week's survey. I am going to vote for multiplayer. So
that was my vote.
I'll probably do classes.
Classes would be good if they were balanced for not multiplayer.
But Daft wants classes because he's put 3,000 hours in the game, so he wants something new to do or new skills to play with.
Balance for something you don't have.
Because technically, new skills you're going to get new skills with the new classes, so that's kind of voting one and the same. So that's why I wouldn't put new skills. You would just pick the new classes because they'll all have their own unique skills. Okay, Guilty. Talk to me about what's going on with your favorite Unity.
Oh, it cuts me deep.
What's going on?
All right, so Unity was in the middle and may still be in the middle of a merger. Okay, Iron Source and Unity were merging. If you guys hadn't remembered from a few podcasts ago, a mobile company outside of California offered them $17.5 billion to say, nah, we'll just buy you. Now, California-based mobile and ad tech company AppLovin has offered $17.5 billion to acquire Unity in an all-stock deal. Not partial, all stock.
Nobody
The deal
likes Unity, Guilty. It's old
Incorrect. You're wrong.
technology.
It's updated constantly. The deal would leave Unity with 55% of the shares of the company resulting from the merger, which comes to 49% voting rights. Now, which is to go off of what you just said, guess who uses Unity a lot besides game companies?
11th Hour Games.
No, besides game companies.
The government or
Yes, actually.
army programs and stuff like that.
Well, Lockheed Martin uses it for the defense simulation for the F-35
Right.
Lightning II. There's other ones too, like Ford Motor Company uses it for augmented reality for manufacturing. Unity's a big boy, and the other game engines not so much. They're only game engines.
Like Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah, I'm talking crap about that pretty boy.
You love Unreal Engine 5, the future
I love
of
giving
gaming.
people the ability to cheat and say that they did something.
All right, what about the game Unreal Tournament? That was fun.
Yeah, back in the day, it was. That's why they are the way they are. But my gripe with Unreal Engine is the blueprint, the ability to just make a game without having to know programming or anything like that. Just means you're doing the same thing other people have done. It's essentially they turned Unreal Engine into what is that? RPG Maker, which you can buy on Steam. Yeah. It's just pretty RPG Maker at this point.
But it is pretty.
It's very pretty. It's pretty.
So you got to give them that.
I mean,
Yeah,
I do.
I don't know.
It's good for if they were doing any type of a film type of thing, using that would probably be gorgeous. The shaders they have are amazing. I will never take that away from them. But as far as making something unique,
Makes that difficult.
it is done with it by people who know C++ and have
Right.
use non-managed like scripting. But no, I'll stick with what I have. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't do that, so I have.
I don't have
less of an
time
opinion.
for these game engine things. You know what I mean? Like that's. I'll just play the game.
Arr.
It regardless of what happens with the Unity, whatever company purchases them will still have to honor existing contracts with Lockheed Martin, Ford Motor Company, amongst other manufacturers.
Right.
So we're in 2022 where manufacturing uses augmented reality. Just wrap your head around that. Cars are built with augmented reality now.
Crazy world.
Forget Unity. They should just sell it and then scrap it, just so it's out of the world. That's what I would do. Actually, no, they need it for Last Epoch. All right, it can only be used to finish that
It
game,
can only be used on Last
and then it'll
Epoch.
be ported to Unreal Engine 5. So, a new game that I signed a contract with. I'm going to be making a video on Thymesia.
Okay.
You guys know what that is?
No.
No.
Fill me in.
It's actually not very new. Thymesia,
Okay.
it's Souls. I have to play
Uh-oh.
Souls-like.
If you were gonna play a Souls-like, shouldn't you play a good one? Like, not saying that this one isn't Souls-like, but there's another one that's kind of out there. People play it.
No, nobody plays that one anymore. Nobody plays that one anymore.
Except for it got a huge update recently, like yesterday.
Did it?
Yep.
Elden?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now. How's your gaming with that going? Guilty.
So, I wanted to see how good R.R. Martin's script would be, and it turns out, I think he could have wrote it in one sitting on the toilet on his phone. There's not that much, and he's an accomplished writer. I imagine he could crank it out pretty quick. As far as the visuals go, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
As far as the combat goes, it is a Souls game made by that team. I didn't like the weapon switching. They should not have changed that. There it is. That's the entire review. It's a
I don't
Souls game.
like really
All
playing
the stuff I
Souls
said.
games. You want to know why?
You're not good at games?
Because I always die.
Yeah, okay, there's the answer. I mean, you're gonna die by like it says you're gonna die on the back of Dark Souls 1. It says prepare to die.
Elden Ring,
Right.
you literally
Dark Souls
have
2
you
is like
literally
prepare
have
die
to
again.
die to play because you got to figure out the boss mechanics. It's like part of the game. I sent you guys the Steam link for
Yeah, I
Thymesia.
did see that.
I see.
Yeah.
You guys haven't heard of that
Oh.
game?
I remember coming across it at some point. I haven't looked into it though.
Yeah.
So
they want me to make a 20-minute dedicated video for them on YouTube.
do it.
I already
They might
said
like
sure.
the game.
I already did it. I already signed everything. I was like, sure. Great.
Yeah. Start a
Um,
character and play for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but
Done.
like, you might like Elden Ring. I don't dislike it. I just think it has the same basic plot as every other Souls game I've played. Like I legit, it's the same base plot of every Souls game
Right.
I've played. Which again, don't know why they had to bring in an R.R. Martin for that.
Name.
But the was it the what is it, the cartographer, the map maker for the game, kudos to them. It's gorgeous. The actual everything they put together probably took a really long time. Like the whole landscape and
Right.
everything's gorgeous. It's very responsive. The way the the mount mechanic works is great. The diversity in I guess bosses is good, but not just bosses, the actual enemies themselves, depending on where you are. So like they match the area they're in, and even in that area, they're somewhat diverse. Like the
That's pretty cool.
Ghost-looking minotaurs. Yeah. It's not a bad game. I'm just butthurt that R.R. Martin's name got slapped on there to get me to buy
Boost
it.
sales. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives it more street cred. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
funny
I mean,
story about Elden Ring. Last Epoch drops 085, and it's not super content heavy, right? We get Arena redone with
Right.
Arena champions. Got 2 new dungeons, but really no new skills. Not a lot in there. So Boardman goes and buys Elden Ring.
I remember this.
And Boardman's, being Boardman, my buddy.
Salty.
Doing his drinking, he's playing his games, like I'm gonna play Elden Ring. And you gotta remember, this is a guy that has like 5,000 hours into Last Epoch.
It was 7, wasn't it?
He's up there, like a 1 game person. Like this is it. And when you're talking about 5 years of your life only playing one style of game and only one game, when you
goodness,
switch
no.
over to like an Elden Ring,
Right.
even I would have, I do have problems, right? So he's playing it and he's streaming it for a few hours, and he's on the first boss and he's riding his horse and he just keeps dying over and over and over and over again. And I hit him up after the stream and I was like, what'd you think of Elden Ring? He goes, I will never play that game ever again. He's like, it's fun, it looks pretty. I will never log into that game ever again.
He's the exact opposite of you, Aaron, who died like 700 times on Last Epoch the other day.
Well,
Yeah, I saw
You
that.
keep coming back. Oh, I saw it too.
It happened. Dead.
But it's a
everyone
personality
dies,
thing. Everybody
MO.
dies.
That spells dead.
I think in that session you died more than I've died in Last Epoch in the last 2 years.
Or since I owned it. Yeah.
everybody dies,
I don't believe you. Pretty sure you have to fact check that.
Walt Disney's out there frozen somewhere, I think.
No, he's buried next to his wife.
I thought he's got his DNA or something
No,
frozen. or something.
there might be DNA, but the dude's buried next to his wife. So funny story here in Disney World.
Oh, gosh.
In beautiful
Uh-oh.
Orlando, Florida, the company my mother's husband worked for rented out Disney after hours. So it closes down at 7 p.m. Okay.
Yep.
And they allow companies and whatnot, rich people, to rent it out for a few hours after that. I was by myself standing in front of the Walt Disney Mickey Mouse statue with nobody else in sight. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
You loved
Was
that.
it now?
I loved it. Good.
It was too good. Okay.
It's too good.
This last topic of the night. I know we're only an hour in, but I feel like we're going to go a little bit on this topic, okay? Now, we know Endgame. Sorry, we know Last Epoch multiplayer is coming end of this year. Okay?
Right.
Sometime after September. They're saying it's going to be later than September, which is when we were supposed to get 086. I'm guessing November. I'm optimistic, maybe October, but I think realistically we get it in November. Now, they really wanted to get multiplayer out. They really want to get 1.0 out before we have the D4 beta. Okay? Will Torchlight Infinite be the monkey in the wrench? Will this mess up their plans? I don't think anybody is ready for this game. This game is going to be available, pretty much finished, global release, PC port in October.
That's a early open beta. Vulcan said that was open beta. I don't know where he's getting his information from.
It is open beta.
Okay, so it is open beta? Okay.
It will be free to play, open beta, global, right? I think it's global.
Right.
I would
think,
imagine
like,
so. It's a pretty big title.
And I think it's going to be
like-
one of those games that's like beta forever. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm kind of
They
thinking.
exist. They exist.
Darth Flop's got a good point. Depends on the port
So
for the
that's
PC.
true.
How well they convert all the things in the UI and just the PC-ish of a game, how well that transfers, I think, is a big thing.
We have to realize that we may be the last. We're like the old guard for PC gaming.
Just
Like my son's a PC gamer.
mine is too.
He's rare. Most of these kids are on their phones. Also, the need for a PC to game is quickly disappearing. I've been streaming through
Right.
Xbox, and 10 teamed up with who was it? They teamed up with Daft.
Logitech.
Yeah, with Logitech G, and they're making a streaming device for
Yes.
going to be able to work with the Xbox stuff and another company's stuff.
Then
for
you got
streaming.
GeForce Now.
GeForce Now, PlayStation
Mhm.
Now, Xbox Game Pass includes the streaming if you get the Ultimate with it.
Right.
And I've been streaming games to my Xbox, and I haven't noticed a difference. Now, I'm not playing like ridiculous like AAA titles on it because I typically don't play those. But it's even in the next 5 years with AAA titles, you're going to be hooked up to a server where they're probably running a 4090 or whatever they have at the time. For the,
I don't think, and this isn't even what I was getting at, but this is fine tangent. I don't think ever RPGs of any style will be popular on a phone.
I mean, but what about that one phone game that everyone, Raid Shadow Legends?
I don't think it'll be mainstream ever. Ever.
We love you, Raid Shadow Legends.
You know,
Hit
I
Aaron
get-
up at his.
I get an email from Raid Shadow Legends every other day. Every other day. And it's always a campaign. Like if you get 40 people to download it, we'll give you $40,
Yeah,
or
at
something
this
like
point,
that.
It is legitimately a Ponzi scheme.
If they were like, "Hey, we're going to pay you $500 if you made a dedicated video," I'd be like, "Sure." I was like, "Can I be honest? Can I be honest in my review?"
So when a YouTuber like I don't know, Angry Joe, I think had Raid Shadow Legends at some point. I think was it Delrith might have been at some point, or maybe through Joe he did that. Big people have been using the Raid Shadow Legends, so there's got to be a different deal they're getting. Maybe.
This is what I want to ask. Just hear me for a second. We have PoE leagues, which always draw about 300,000 players, okay? But within 2 weeks, you're in the 5 digits. You're in the 50,000. That
Right.
number falls off heavy. People come in, they see what's new, they play it for a little bit, and then they're like, okay, I forgot that this game's a full-time job. So it always brings a monster crowd, and then it subsides. You have Diablo 3, season 27, 28, right? Like,
Right.
Those will bring in a fairly decent crowd, and then it'll subside. You now see all these different Grim Dawn, Martyr, all these different games that have seasonal cycle content, but again, normally it's pretty quick, and then it falls off. Last Epoch dropping multiplayer Q4 this year. There's currently no scheduled competition. I mean, nothing. And again, some of those leagues, some of those seasons, some of those competitors will fall around that time, but it's going to be the same stuff. Torchlight Infinite is now a direct and, in my opinion, monster competitor based upon my experience playing it. Because if I never played the game, I'd be like, it's going to be Diablo Immortal 2.0 phone port garbage. But the fact that I've played it and I feel like it's so good makes me weirdly nervous for Last Epoch's drop. Okay, that's what I'm getting at.
They're two different systems, so why not play both?
I mean,
are they
ultimately?
But are they?
They're two different systems completely.
They're very different.
The Torchlight system is not the Last Epoch system, is not the Grim Dawn system, is not the Diablo system. They're all different. That's why you play all of them.
On Saturday, I'll play Last Epoch, and on Sunday, I would play Torchlight. They're different enough for me. But you know me, I play multiple games concurrently all the time. So for me, it's not a big deal. Competitor, sure, maybe I could see it.
But I mean, sure, of course you'll play both. But you know, if Last Epoch thinks, well, we're gonna have 50,000 people playing multiplayer at launch, that's like, oh crap, we're only getting 20,000 because Torchlight Infinite's pulling 20 million downloads. You know what I mean? It won't get 20 million downloads, but
it might get 20 million globally.
It'll be free.
Yeah, it's free. I'm not on the phone.
I mean,
it'll be in the App Store, and it'll be like suggested in the App Store. Watch.
Right.
There's gonna be like grandmas clicking on it because it's suggested. Google told me to play this one.
I just get nervous because I feel like Torchlight's gonna come first.
Well, maybe
it's
if
an
Last
older
Epoch
brand
would spit content out. Okay. Spit it out and put it on the phone.
Don't do that. Don't listen to that.
And make it free and then sell skins.
Don't do that either.
Actual competition. We can have an actual competition.
Don't do that. Don't do that. So you guys think no big deal. Torchlight Infinite is a mobile game ported to PC, totally different visuals. Even though they're both ARPGs, they're different enough that there's nobody that's going to be like, screw Last Epoch, I fell in love with Torchlight and I want to play this.
They don't feel like direct competitors. It's kind of like different hamburger places. You know, you have your main chains and then you have your sub chains around it. Like it just, you know, you have different, they fit for me a different kind of game. So one's arcadey and Last Epoch is more methodical and you got to go through all the story. I have no, except for what I've seen that you've played on Torchlight, I don't know how the experience is to compare them directly, but I mean, all the Torchlights have come out and all the other games have come out, and you know, Torchlight never seems like a competitor. It just seems like a different version of the game.
Yeah, I guess in my head,
I mean, it could be.
In my head, I think about Last Epoch truly having a time where it's like their time. There's not an Elden Ring. I know it's a different game, but it's a monster game. There's not a blah, blah, blah. You know, there's not a Cyberpunk. There's not something eating up millions of players, right? There's literally nothing. There's like nothing coming out at the end of this year. Everything's been delayed. So it makes me think if they could really drop a great multiplayer experience and it's going to be a monster patch that comes with a bunch of other stuff, you know, can they really plant their self in the competitive ARPG sense? Or is Torchlight going to be so awesome, which I know it's awesome. Like, it is awesome. Is it going to screw things up? Because now it's like, hey, this game's going to come out of nowhere. You just need one Asmongold or somebody streaming it. Now the community's playing it. You know, it only takes a little bit. So that's
Are we trying to get Last Epoch to be as big as, say,
Wolcen.
Torchlight or Diablo?
Wolcen.
No, we're not talking about Wolcen. Wolcen was big, but I think it pulled more numbers than. I think it was pulling more numbers than Diablo 3, wasn't it?
Wolcen was huge.
Huge.
It was
When it first
massive.
When it was massive for like the first week, and then no one could play.
I mean, just for perspective, Wolcen was double plus 10,000 over Grim Dawn ever, and we all know how much better Grim Dawn is than Wolcen, right? So just for perspective, it was double plus 10,000.
Question: where did the hype for Wolcen come from? Because
Nowhere.
It came from somewhere.
No, Wolcen's hype was the next shiny thing, the new shiny thing.
Right, but where did that come from?
I don't remember.
People knew it existed. They didn't just kill a chicken, smear its blood on their face, and pray to the south.
You know, it came from me making videos. That's where the hype. That's what sold all the copies.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
Maybe.
I honestly, that's a great question. I can't even tell you where I heard of it or why I bought it, but I bought 2 copies, one for me and my wife. And I don't even know. I just was like, hey, there's a new game out that everyone's playing and it looks really good. Do you want to buy? And what kind of game is it? It's Diablo-like. It's isometric hack and slash. Buy it. Click, you know?
My buddy was the one that told me. So possibly word of mouth. But where did the word of mouth start?
I don't know. I was on the Kickstarter for that, or the earliest versions of that. So mine was
Kickstarter could have been the platform that it started from. You're right.
That's when I started playing it.
You know what's kind of an
a
interesting
completely
thought
different game.
is how many ARPGers have never heard of Last Epoch? I bet most of them have heard of it. At least heard of it. Would you say that's fair?
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Look at Exathius. He's saying advertising. Did you see Wolcen advertise?
I've
before it was
never
released?
seen Wolcen advertise.
Not once. That's why I'm asking. Like, where did it?
Yeah.
Where did the? I've never seen an advertisement.
So imagine if us 3 had never heard of Last Epoch, and then in October, hey, a new isometric ARPG just dropped. It's supposed to be the true successor to Diablo 2. It's built on Unity. It's got one of the best skill systems anybody's ever seen. It's got good pacing. It's got good lore. It's got good character development. It's got multiplayer. It feels like it's going to be huge. Daft would buy it. Guilty'd buy it. I'd buy it. I would tell the Discord to buy it. Everyone would buy it. Ziz would stream it. This person would stream it. Hey, have you heard of Last Epoch? And it would be like an overnight success. Like, that's what I think Wolcen was. Nobody knows what it is, and then it dropped out of nowhere. And that's actually what Wolcen's always done. Hey, we're thinking about making a new patch. We don't know when it's coming out. And then in like 16 minutes later, they drop it. You know, they're not like a build up. 7 months from now, on the 1st of September, we're gonna drop this game. That like came. It feels like that game came out of nowhere. But Last Epoch, 4 years of weekly communication, this slow burn. Oh, I've heard of Last Epoch. It's been the same for 4 years. Oh, I've heard of Last Epoch. They said they're going to drop multiplayer 2 years ago. Oh, is that the one built on Unity? That game looks dated. Like, you know, I'm worried that everybody's heard of it. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody's seen gameplay or streams. And now once we finally get what was promised a while ago, it's not going to have that impact. It's not going to have that hit.
Well,
Zen in chat said that there was a price decrease right around the release too, so that had something to do with it.
It probably showed up on the sales on the front page on Steam, which goes on to what Exathius said as well.
Yes.
Now, question: who currently owns, hypothetically, 24% of 11th Hour Games?
Tencent.
Correct. Who
Tencent.
also happens to be trying to buy out Ubisoft currently.
Tencent.
Yeah, that's correct. That's your 10-cent minute.
Yeah, they're going through it, buying all the things.
They're trying to buy everything. Just wait. They're going to buy your car next. That's the reason I'm bringing this up. We're asking where how Last Epoch can compete with that 10-cent paper.
If Last Epoch drops multiplayer and they have a max, so right now their highest ever is like 7,200 players concurrent at a time.
Okay.
If that jumped up to 20,000, would that be a success?
I mean,
Of course.
no, because
I mean, it's more than doubled.
yeah,
It's not
that
okay.
doesn't-
Are you saying it's like a plateau for a while?
So-
20,000.
It drops
5 years of development
multiplayer.
time.
It drops multiplayer, and over the course of 7 days, 20,000 is what it hits. Is that good?
5 years of development time. I better see like
50?
10-cent buying, hypothetically 24% of the company with the option to buy more. I need to see more than that. Those are rookie numbers. I need to get them up.
I think deep down inside, as the devs outside of the world, they'd be okay with that. But as far as the
indie dev would
impact,
be fine with that. Yes,
exactly.
But they're no longer indie devs.
This is true. 10 cent. I
That'd be
think.
10 cent.
I think they would be pushing for at least 50.
That's my thought. If they could hit 50,000, that would be. I mean, you're talking almost a 10x, right? A 9x.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that.
So I mean, it seems reachable, but then again, you never know. Good old Torchlight might
So
take away some of those players.
you guys recall the launch for No Man's Sky? It was a PlayStation pushed launch, and PlayStation was like pumping ad revenue for that game, and the studio was like, "No, stop, don't, please." They were like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory and that. They're like, "No, no, stop, police, help."
It's the golden ticket.
And then PlayStation forced them to like, you have to release today. They're like, "It's not done today."
Do it.
I'm thankful that 10 cent does not seem to be doing that. But
No.
10 cent could at least do the pushing of the ad revenue the way PlayStation did for No Man's Sky,
Right.
Hmm.
and may do that.
I've never seen Last Epoch advertise.
Not yet.
Never
Yeah.
seen a YouTube ad. I've never seen. But by the way, their Friday streams, a lot of the days I see it back up to like 180 people.
Oh, that's good.
They used to sit in the
Well-
40s and 50s during 084. Its peak time in the 7000s. It had 600 to 700 players watching Mike. I couldn't
Right.
believe that because I remember when I would watch him at the beginning, there's like 10 of us. There's like
Yeah.
10 of us. Literally like 10 people.
Literally, yeah.
So it's pretty,
Well, you know.
I mean, it is crazy. I feel like
How long- they've been doing that for a while now, almost a year.
13 or 14 months.
Yeah, so just over a year now. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Okay.
over a year. So it does show how much that's grown.
Right.
I'm hopeful for 50,000 because you know what's going to happen. You know, Ziz is going to stream it. You know,
said he-
all the.
Well, he's-
I really think
yeah.
all of the PoE streamers will play it.
At least once, and probably on stream.
I feel like the
Right.
the PoE crowd, they will get a large chunk of people to at least try it. I see that happening. I see the Lost
So-
Ark people, I see the Diablo people giving it a
Right.
shot. Like I do, and that's my hope is that they get it and fall in love.
So that's where the fear of Torchlight comes in, because when you're making the decision, well, this is like a demo. I could just, not that it's a demo, Torchlight, but it's free. I could just play this.
And
if
also-
I don't like that, I'll go to Last Epoch. 'cause
And
I
again,
gotta pay
if
30 bucks for
it does depend on the PC port, and all I know of the PC port is the UI looks clean. That's all I know. The UI
So-
looks clean, and they've been developing the PC port from the beginning. So I have a
Right.
feeling it's gonna be pretty good. But until I play it, I don't know.
Exactly. You never know. I mean, you saw what could have been just an idea script as opposed to actual gameplay. I don't know.
I feel like people are gonna be very enthralled like they're gonna be deep in Torchlight, and it's free. I think.
Yes.
And it's like Last Epoch is a $35 game. I believe they want to raise the price. I think it's going to be a $40 game when they actually launch it. It'll be $39.99.
I had no idea.
I don't know why. I mean, it's a great question. I don't know why they do that. It's like if you get the early access or the beta, you save $5 or $10, but then when the game launches, they give it like the retail price. I don't know. That's
Right.
Yeah, but are they going to? They've already claimed not to have any DLC that's not paid for. So
Yep.
right off the bat, okay. Assuming
Okay.
they actually do DLC. So the way Path of Exile has done DLC is in the form of claiming their second game as a sequel and it actually being DLC.
It's a completely different game.
It's just a new story.
Okay. Ultimately, you guys think having some competition, Torchlight, Last Epoch, both coming out, one being multiplayer with a large, I don't want to say, I hate saying content patch because we're not getting like new end game, but it will
Right.
have skills. It'll have lots of new assets. It'll have balance. It'll have visuals. It'll have performance and optimization. It'll have multiplayer. It'll have UI. It'll have stash improvements. It'll have lots and lots to the update. We're getting the new bear. We're getting the new golem. We're getting the new saber tooth. We're getting new skills.
Maybe new bear.
Summon
Mhm.
bear.
The real, not the werebear, but the
Yes. So I mean,
The bear.
it will be a very large patch with multiplayer, or Torchlight coming off a terrible Torchlight 3, but Torchlight still holds value.
yeah, of course.
I mean, Torchlight's just an older game, so they're gonna have fans that have been around hoping it does well.
Well, at
You
this point, Last Epoch's an older game too.
It is.
It is, but it doesn't have a Last Epoch 1 and 2 or 3.
And we don't talk
You know.
about 3. That's scary.
We don't, but I'm just saying longevity of the name in the
All right, got it.
gaming spectrum.
Go. What?
You got what?
What?
Last
What do you
10
got?
minutes. Let's talk about this dumb Frontier game you guys are playing. Let's talk about the
Oh.
games we're playing this week. Just kidding. I don't know if it's
Oh.
dumb. I just saw someone's house has dysentery and another house is on fire.
That was
and-
mine.
It was multiple persons' houses that had dysentery in mine.
Yes. Well,
Turns
I only had
out,
the one.
well, these people need to learn how to wash their hands.
All right.
Yes.
Daft, honest opinion of the game. Don't fanboy just because you've been waiting for it and wanted to play it forever.
Right.
How do you feel whatever it's called is?
As far as
it's farthest frontier.
farthest frontier, I'm generally happy. I'd seen only some imagery and some news about it over the last couple of years. Didn't really pay much attention to it because
And it's
didn't-
released. This is a released game.
It's
no,
released.
no, this is early access.
It's early
Okay,
access.
got it.
In release. It's released to the general public, but it is still technically early access, and they're gonna fine tune it. I did see some pre-footage from like last week that had concerns that were brought up that they did address. So it seems like the devs are addressing things like they had too much foliage on the ground and it cluttered the game and it made it too rocky to play. So they gave you a turn that off. So they are adjusting. It's been smooth. The graphics are fantastic. The gameplay itself within like it feels like a Banished game, but with a lot more going on. So like the farming is super in depth. Like the way you set up your farming, I have 4 crops and each of them have 3 cycles, and you can put basically like different crops, and they all like an ARPG. The crops have like attributes and skills and stuff, so you have to keep your soil a certain way. You can get too many weeds, so there's a lot of like a mini game
Yeah, you
within
have to-
the farming alone, and you could
Just
set
in
it
the
up.
farming, you have to work the crop and the maintenance crew for the crop per each
Right.
track, and there are 3 tracks.
Right. And
Each
so
thing you
Yeah.
can grow could just like you need to add clay or sand to get it to the green zone so that you'll have the
Right.
bonus to the growth.
I'm falling
That's just
asleep
one system.
listening about. Tell me something else that happens.
So
Maybe.
those of us with a working mind will continue talking. The most complex thing in the game is not the growing; it's the selling, the commerce.
yeah, the commerce is pretty deep.
It's pretty deep. Yeah, there's so much stuff to buy or sell.
It
and hoping
sounds
that a guy
so boring.
It's
Oh.
super cool. It's
Boring.
not like it's not an action game. It's a game based
I
off
know
of,
what
like,
it is.
setting things
Oh.
into motion and trying to make sure that it works out well.
it's for
That's kinda
people
like
that
the
read
vibe.
these.
Was that Kindle? What was that? What was that?
Oh man. But like,
Okay, Daft, first impression, you
what?
played it a week, 0 out of 10. What would you give it?
7 right now.
All right, Guilty,
Right
your
now?
thoughts.
Yeah, I would say it's slightly above average. My average being a 7. I'd give it about an 8 or a 9 right now.
You'd
Just
give it a
because-
9?
For that style of game.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not gonna. You can't compare it to an action RPG. You can't compare it to. But
No.
compare it
I
to
understand.
other of its brethren.
Yes, Civ.
it
You're comparing
has
it to Civ.
Yeah,
Well-
or other games like that. Comparing it to Civ 6, I definitely give it a 9.
Yeah, but that's part of my bread and butter. I've played Civ for ages, and then in building games for ages. So that's just kind of something I've always done. ARPGs kind of being in there.
What does this do that those don't?
What's that?
Dysentery.
So this is part. No, they all have dysentery or something like that.
Yeah.
The Oregon Trail. If you've died of dysentery,
Yes.
or typhoid or whatever. So, having to actively produce something as a community or multiple things as a community is the only way to survive.
True.
So if you do not have the gold to pay the monthly maintenance for the school or for the healer or whatever it is, the school's
gone.
100, the healer's 30.
Yeah.
They're either gone or you need to like get rid of them or you're going to be screwed because you have to pay taxes every year. It is a lot of balancing. It's essentially a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean it's the type of game that I like to play on a Saturday morning, drinking a cup of coffee. Like, it's like I always liked ant games. I'll pause the game, set everything up, and then hit the pause button again, let it start going, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And just drink my coffee, watch some video. Just kind of like, it's absolutely not an action style game.
So-
It's just not what it is.
The funny things that happen though, like bears run into your town before you have defenses, and watching your little people run away as they run away from a bear that chases them up to their house, or try to stand the ground temporarily to fight it, and realize they can't.
How
run
did
away.
your house catch on fire?
Who knows? Someone knocked a candle over. By the way, that wasn't a house.
Man, sounds
Was it
really
your
enthralling.
Storage.
It wasn't the storage either. It was the cobbler.
Oh, okay.
But like funny stuff, like I posted a picture of everyone. I posted 2 pictures. Everyone was at the market when the moving merchant came by. Everyone runs to the merchant. You notice that? Everyone goes to the
Yes.
merchant to buy shoes. And then
Yeah.
you can go there. That's how I knew to go there. I'm like, oh, the merchant must be here. Everyone's running to the center of the screen. Then you can go and buy or sell whatever.
Right.
And at night, when the bar is open, if you have one pub, everyone in the town will go to that pub, and you'll just see a bunch of like, oh, here's everybody at the pub drinking.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. As for the
But-
game style, it's pretty good.
What
you
will
enjoy
your
builder games.
town, city, civilization look like end game?
Whatever I wanted to.
The end game is relative. Like,
I mean, is it going to look like Rome? Is it going to look like Star
Oh,
Wars
so-
land? Is it going to
The
look
best
like
photos-
the United States?
it'll look like Grim Dawn.
Grim Dawn. So literally, the creators of Grim Dawn made this game. It's Crate Entertainment. And the stock names, what are they, Deft?
Oh, Malmouth, all the
That's my city.
yeah, the different roll up, like when you're randomly picking town. It's just Grim Dawn lore, names,
Oh gosh.
all types.
You
of
just
that. So
added
you're-
another level of boredom to it. Just even
So
worse. Oh
to put it in
god.
perspective, Malmouth is the city
Well-
that collapses in Grim Dawn. So me working so hard to make Malmouth strong makes me
Yes.
happy knowing what
Oh.
I feel good
happened.
inside.
Gosh.
Yes. Yes.
When CF110 asked new classes when. Last Epoch or 11th Hour Games would say when they are ready. I wish I knew.
Yeah, like if we knew that, we would have already told everybody.
Mike,
I would have leaked it out to the entire internet.
Mike asked that. Mike gets asked that question at bare minimum 10 times a stream, and he says he literally says word for word, when they're ready, no later than 1.0. There's the chance they come on game launch.
How big is their team? Do you know?
50 to 60.
Oh, they really need to get that out.
That's big-ish.
50
For
to
a small
60.
team.
No studio, all remote.
That's not a small team.
Was that town building thing where you're supposed to be added to Grim Dawn? Is that
No, but
So no, it might as well be.
the game? Don't buy it.
Buy it.
What? Don't listen to
would
this
you
guy.
Yeah,
This guy
clown.
doesn't know what he's talking about.
No, but they are using the proceeds of this game to go into Grim Dawn 2.
All right,
So
you could
kind of-
buy it.
right.
Never mind, buy it. That's fine.
All right. So the thing they've been working on and not disclosing to people because they're not ridiculous and they plan things ahead is they are actually developing a new engine,
Yes.
a next gen engine specifically for Grim Dawn 2. They
Unreal
have a
Engine
small
5.
team working on it. No, that's garbage. Shut up.
No, they're making their own.
They're making their own, like the big boys they are, because the original Grim Dawn 2 was made on a proprietary engine that they had to make in the first place for Titan Quest.
Right.
They're making another one that's next gen comparable.
Exathius wants me to play Final Frontier. That is the farthest frontier. What's it called?
It's Farthest Frontier.
Yeah, farthest frontier. See, he wants me to play
Yeah,
Final because it's terrible. No, I'm kidding. Just
Okay. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Builders are not for everybody. Not everybody likes SimCity. Not everyone likes us.
I will build my city as long as it produces Zerglings for me to go attack somebody with.
There's no attack.
You
get attacked, and you can
get
set up
attacked.
defenses.
You
There's
can, you can have a
raiders,
barracks.
animals.
Yeah, right. That type of stuff. The raiders are awful, and I hate them.
Good. Then
They
they're
took off
doing
with
their
3,000 of my
job.
gold before we started, and I hate them.
I found a singularity too, and it just sits in my trash.
Mine too. I've never used it because I have crit. I want crit for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Guilty
I had
doesn't
on my
even.
rogue
Guilty
for a
doesn't know
minute
what we're
and
talking
I found
about.
it.
It's not Grim Dawn
because
stuff.
I don't play games that aren't released.
I'll strangle you. Just so you know, I'll do it if I have to. I will
My ARPGs
do it.
are released. Thank you.
Oh, geez. Hi, Luz. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, Luz.
Wait, I got to answer a
Luz.
quick question. Flop said something. Oh, no, never mind. Zen said it. Zen said it. Are the new classes being saved to draw people back at launch?
No.
Guilty, what do you think?
I mean, maybe. I don't.
That's not a good sell.
I don't think
No.
it could be, but I don't think Mike could hold that in. Mike would blurt it out.
I think
Mike's not like
No.
a special forces guy. Like he would blurt it out.
I don't think so.
He's leaked things so many times.
I mean, when
has
he
leaked
gets asked
so many times.
when he gets asked the question, it almost feels like dread on his face. It's like,
because he knows there's
no,
nothing.
we haven't started. You know, it's like, oh, no.
Okay, I would really. I will sign an NDA. I'll rub someone's feet. I just want to read the GDD. I will sign an NDA. I'll rub the feet. I'll get into between the toes. I just want to read the GDD for personal closure.
Yeah. I think we get them before 1.0. Unless they are literally the last thing. If it's like the game is finished, we're only missing these three classes, then maybe it's like, 092 turns into 1.0, and that would actually bring a ton of people. The game is now complete with the final three classes at game launch. and you could almost count 1.0 as cycle 1, the new classes. It actually makes perfect sense.
For me, it just feels kind of That feels like gotcha kind of ish. It just
Well, it is what it is. They're owned by Tencent now. It could be much worse.
I mean, I just don't think it's
much worse.
I just don't think it's close. You know, I just don't.
I don't know if they've actually even designed them on paper yet.
Well,
If they say they haven't done, if they have not begun development, that is part of development. And if we're taking them at face and everything they say is accurate, then they haven't even jotted down.
so I will tell you this. During the last stream, they had the lore master on, and the lore master was asked, this is actually a really great question. Can you tell us anything about the remaining 3 classes lore? And he went through each one. The rune master is supposed to be the master, the master of blah, blah, blah. And the only one I remember off the top of my head was the falconeer, because he said something really interesting. He said that the falconeer is like the tricky class. He's he or she's the trickster, and the falcon will like draw people in, and it's all about like tricking your opponents to go to the wrong area and traps and things like that.
How do you do that?
And I was thinking, like, tricky, like the lore master used the word tricky to describe the falconeer.
He did.
Literally
He did.
like 4 times. He said
He did.
So is
tricky.
that like a high charisma character in like a JRPG where you charm them?
I don't know.
Is she charming the enemies and making them?
But
run
the
away and attack
rune
each other?
master is supposed to be the traps, you know, from what we understand, the traps, the runes, the drawing stuff in the sky. Like, that's what we thought. But
I thought it was like wasn't one of them was like a dark monk.
isn't that the, I don't know.
One of them's like a dark monk. The way we read it out, I'm like, that's a dark monk. But like the falconeer, like if it's supposed to be a trickster, does that mean that when the bird's up in the air, it has the potential to charm, like and make the enemies attack each other? Because that's not in the game yet. If that's in the game, that actually is cool.
Now,
That's another avenue.
Flop did just mention this, and this has been kind of confirmed that the Rune Master will have potentially multiple golem skills.
Ah. For your golem armor that you can't wear with the warlock.
Nope, that's not. Yeah, you're right. Can't wear it with the warlock. It'll be a necro item.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could change it where instead of stone, instead of bone golem, it just works with golems. Maybe?
maybe.
That class, dude, my armor is going to be insane. Because maybe I've seen stuff in the future that is even going to make it that much cooler that I can't talk about. Point being, it is going to be awesome. I'll leave it at that. I'm already getting in trouble. I see Daft
Did
shaking
I
his
mention
head.
I will sign an NDA and rub someone's feet just to read the GDD?
No.
Looking at the camera. Looking at you, Mike. I will rub your feet.
Yeah.
He has a wife to rub his feet. He doesn't need you.
He could have a wife and a guilty.
And a guilty.
He has 2 feet.
He does have 2 feet. Okay. Games I played this week. I have played Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms. I have played lots of Last Epoch. And I guess I guess Wolson was the previous week.
It was
played
last
it?
week. Yeah. And you didn't really play it. You made a video.
I really didn't play it. That's true. I logged in and played it for 30 minutes.
You
And
logged.
I was like, all
Yeah.
right. I was like, all right, I'll just.
Did you guys notice 13 Sentinels dropped?
What?
So 13 Sentinels dropped. I picked it up. Flenser wanted to know about it. If Flenser watches this or he's in chat or whatever, pick it up. It's awesome.
What is it called?
13 Sentinels.
Have you ever seen the movie The 13th Warrior? Have you seen that movie?
Of course. Sure have.
Of course you've seen it.
And I mean, I watch movies, sir.
Avoid-
Antonio Banderas.
That's right. You played a version of Last Epoch, Duke Nukem 3, Sec Live Ellie. Yep, you nailed it. I had to run up to the person and say, "Shake it, baby." You guys know
Let's
Duke
see.
Nukem, right?
Yes.
I think it's one of the greatest achievements in video games.
Ever.
Um,
Okay.
If you were to have a live action Duke Nukem, who plays Duke?
Chris Pratt.
Okay, that's okay. That's a good one. That's a good
That
one.
works.
That does work. What about the guy that plays Homelander?
No. Actually, that
You don't
might.
think so?
Yeah.
He's got the
Yeah.
jaw. He's got
Yeah.
the
I could see that.
jaw. Ah.
I played the side-scrolling Duke Nukem.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, that's going back.
Okay.
The
think
Wayback
we're done.
Machine.
We're out of topics, and we're over
Out.
90 minutes. Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren.
No, he's too old.
Younger Dolph, maybe.
Hey, not to start a tangent. Guilty, don't comment on this because you'll just won't stop talking. Stallone is mad that they're creating a spin-off Rocky called
Yeah,
Drago.
Drago.
Yeah, they're making a Drago movie, and Rocky is pissed, calling
Right.
them.
It's not confirmed yet. Dolph has not signed papers yet,
Yes.
and he's specifically pissed off at the producer and the producer's son.
Yeah. I told you not to talk. Now you gotta. Such a know-it-all. I said
I read
it.
Stuff. I read stuff. I'm sorry.
I just look at picture books and try and interpret them, and you have to go and read them all. Terrible. Okay. We're done. This Week in
Thank you,
Action,
Zane.
podcast 27 in the books. Obviously, this will be on YouTube coming tomorrow. We are going to move over to Patreon. Luz, we heard your questions. I'm going to ask the guys. It's up to them if they want to give you an answer. I can't make them. Thank you all for coming out and checking it out. What we do at the end now is we switch over to Patreon. All the likes, all the shares, all the comments, all the views on YouTube and on Twitch are
All the
amazing.
things.
It really is amazing. We need all that. We're about 750 subs away from our goal of 20,000 on the year. So we're doing great. But if you want to take it one step farther, the best way to support the channel into the future is joining the Patreon. There are 6 different options. It's in the chat, it's in the about, it's on YouTube, every single video. Weekly bonus hour, weekly blog post, access to the VIP lounge, you get a title on Discord, and depending on where you sign up at, there's lots of other content. So check out the Patreon. That's where we're moving to now. I hope you all have a fantastic night, and Guilty, you get the final word.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, that was really good. I guess I got the final word. Bye!